Ladies and gentlemen, friendly reminder, tomorrow you have a focus due. You have a test. It's a group test. You picked up your assignments today for week 9. That is due on Thursday. I'm not seeing you on Wednesday, but you are taking a test by yourself like a grown-up on Thursday. That is the final grades that are going into this quarter. Please make sure you are ready to go. Yesterday we got to Colombian exchange?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so we got New World, Old World, ladies and gentlemen of the Colombian exchange. Which one benefits the most? Old World. Please note that it's going to create a population increase in the Old World. If you don't have that down, make a note of it, please. So, the Colombian exchange is going to increase the population in the Old World. You need to know that it is going to cause a disastrous decline in population in the New World, but then will benefit to a degree from the food. Now, please listen very carefully. I'm in no way saying that Europeans showing up to the Americas is a good thing for the natives. It's only going to get worse, honestly. If you didn't die from the disease, shit gets worse. Okay? But the populations in the America are going to benefit from beasts of burden and better nutritional crops. Can we agree? Okay? However, you have to understand that the cost of getting horses and wheat is not the benefit of 55 million people dying of diseases. Yes? And then the ones that are survived are completely maligned and abused and thrown into coerced labor structures. Yes? So, the immediate effects are disastrous for the indigenous. It gets slightly better and will eventually cause the population to rise again in the indigenous population. But this is in no way like, whoo, look at them, they got horses. No. Okay, so, big thing you need to know, potatoes are going to be the most important crop that comes across from the Americas. Think about your life. Could you imagine France without their fingerling potatoes? Oh my God, it's the best thing. France made French fries. Those are American crops. Those foods didn't exist until 1492. Can you imagine Italy with no tomatoes? There's no tomatoes until 1492 in Italy. And it's not even instantaneous, they just show up. So, like, it literally transformed European cuisines, ladies and gentlemen. Like, everything about Europe is going to change because of it. Okay, Colombian exchange. You need to know the biggest and most valuable crops. The biggest and most valuable items, not crops. Okay, you need to know that tobacco is one of the top 3. Tobacco becomes one of the most popular items because it's incredibly addictive, yes. Okay? It's incredibly addictive, which your generation is dumb enough to get addicted to. Idiots. My generation got us all away from it. You idiots got back addicted. I say that with love. And of course, none of you would be using tobacco products, so wonderful. Okay. Tobacco is going to be number 1. It is going to be popular in Europe, of course, but it is crazy popular in Asia. The second most valuable item is rum. Now think about it. There's really only 2 alcohol products in Afro-Eurasia. You have sake, which is obviously in Asia. It's a wine. You have wines, different types of bases of wine, but essentially wine across the continent. Some wines are sweet, some wines are dry, but they're not overly sweet usually. The other alcoholic beverage provided, remember, you can only drink alcohol at this point because the water is not clean, right? We talked about this, which is why Europeans specifically were hammered all the time. Okay? The second is beer. No one has ever described a beer as sweet. Okay? I haven't gotten there. Okay? So, this reason why rum becomes the most popular, one of the most popular items is because it's super sweet. Most people cannot afford sugar. They can't afford candy. They can't afford pastries or whatever comes in it. see that Chick-fil-A. Okay, so rum becomes the most popular item because it's an accessible point and people like the feeling of it. Obviously, that's why people drink it. The third most valuable item is going to be sugar. Tobacco, rum, and sugar. Now, rum is made from sugar. Yes, it is made from sugar. It's fermented from sugar. Sugar, like the white granulated stuff, is really hard to transport. Why? Think about it logically. It's sugar. Why is it hard to transport? Miss Ross. It is very heavy. But more importantly, who loves to eat it? Ants, rats, all the other vitriol and vermin all love to eat it. So how easy is it to keep it and store it? It is very, very hard. And keep in mind, if any water touches it, what happens? Dissolves, and you have to do the whole process all over again. And once water touches it, it dissolves and goes through the cracks of the barrels, the bags, or however you're storing it. It's kind of a nightmare to store. However, it's called white gold for a reason because everyone becomes obsessed with it. Okay? So those are the three major crops that are coming out. Items. You need to know that gold is found, but silver. Put a big star next to silver. Silver is found. You need to know that silver, 95% of it is found in the Americas worldwide. So, silver becomes an item that no one can find pretty much anywhere else, and it becomes a high demand item because of its rarity.
What did you say about the percent?
It's like 95% in the Americas. Okay, so silver becomes the mining love. You need to know China becomes obsessed with it. And China becomes obsessed with it. And you don't need to write this down because you'll know this incredibly well in week 12. They literally go bankrupt buying silver. Because they're buying silver with what? Gold. Which is worth more. And they want the silver so bad, they are spending 100 pounds of gold for 20 pounds worth of silver. Because it's so rare and it's never seen, and they really like the look of it because it's so different. Keep in mind, what has China always had plenty of? Gold. Because everyone's been buying their goods for centuries, so they've always had plenty of it. All of a sudden, there's this new shiny thing that they've never seen before, so they're like, oh, it's cool, we'll just sell our gold, and who's pocketing all this gold? The Europeans. The Europeans are pocketing all this gold, and that is going to cause an economic flip that we are still seeing today, that Europe will dominate the power, while China is going to be subservient to the economic power of Europe, which we're going to see. Ella.
Who actually facilitated that trade?
Spain is going to do it to start it, but it's the British. The British are really good. And they also got them all addicted to opium.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So, yeah, they just casually just got them all addicted.
Like
So.
America.
Huh?
Like America.
That's more opioids, but yeah. We're going to see the British. They're going to use it brilliantly to take over China. Okay. So, Columbian Exchange. You have very important crops that are coming over. The Old World is going to benefit the most. The New World does get some points, but do not think for a second it is worth the Europeans being over there. You need to know that gold is valuable and is found there, but it is silver that is going to drive the world's economy. You need to, underneath that gold and silver, I need you to write mercantilism, which is on your vocab, which I'm going to do right now because I didn't do this last period. Okay. You need to know mercantilism, ladies and gentlemen. Mercantilism is the new economic structure. Okay? So, this is going to be the economic structure from essentially the 1400s to the to about the 1650s. So it's going to be in power for about 200 years, and it'll eventually be replaced by what market system? Capitalism will be the one that replaces it. So this is the pre-economic system to capitalism. Mercantilism is based entirely on a country's ability to collect gold and silver. Write that down. Okay? So, mercantilism is the economic system where the colonies are to enrich the mother country. And they do this by collecting as much gold and silver as possible and hoard it. Oh my goodness, you are fine. You're fine. Pile it in, I'll take them. Thank you, thank you. Oh, it's different. Oh, I don't. Got it? Perfect. Thank you. Oh yeah, ruining lives. Okay, so gold and silver is what mercantilism is completely and utterly based on. It's about countries collecting gold and silver. It fails. Write it down. It will fail, and the first country to epically fail with it will be Spain. This is going to cause their demise. Okay, mercantilism is going to cause their demise. Now, right now I'm teaching you the rise of Spain, not the fall. So I will teach you why mercantilism is going to do it, but this is the economic system that they are basing on, and it eventually will cause their failure. Okay, just a spoiler alert. Spain thought the gold reserves in the New World would never end, so they built a 160-foot tall gold Jesus, solid gold Jesus on their shore because Jesus. And how good of a financial decision is that? Yeah, they melted it down real quick and their entire economy collapsed. So I don't know about that. I do know about gold Jesus. Gold Jesus makes me smile because they literally built it. It took like 8 years to build, and then they started melting it down in pieces. Can you imagine just like taking a toe off Jesus and melt it to pay off your financial debt? Like, do you think like that's kind of funny, right? That's like a little shave off the back of his cloak and stuff like that, and pay off the national debt to like Italy for something. Anyway, silver. You do need to know that the consumers are going to be Europe and China. China's the biggest one, and it is going to okay, you do need to know that the Chinese people are going to hoard gold. What does hoard mean? We all seen hoarders on TLC. What does it mean, Sailor?
Like, keep it for yourself.
Yeah, they keep it for themselves, so they like looking at it, so they keep it in their houses and stuff like that. China changes their entire economy to be based on silver. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
You said people hoard gold or
Silver. Sorry, I'm talking silver. I'm sorry. They're hoarding silver. China will change their entire economy to be based on silver. Is that a good look or a bad look? It's a bad look. If your entire economy is based on another economy providing the money in which your economy runs, does that sound very stable or unstable? And that is why the Chinese economy is going to collapse. Okay, so mercantilism is going to cause the collapse of two major systems. European system will collapse as well as China's. China's is a little bit different, but we'll get into that. Okay, here we go. So let's talk about colonies in the Americas. That's your next heading. Join me. Colonies in the Americas is our next heading. Okay. You need to know that colonial administration is going to be based on the mother country benefiting from its colonies. So colonial administration is based on the mother country benefiting from its colonies. So, do the colonies have high power or low power? Low. They're subservient to the mother colonies. They're not seen as equal. They're seen as less. Here in the Americas, pre-revolution, were we the equal to British citizens in London or less? Less. So, the history of America that you should know by now is going to play a little bit of assistance in what going forward. The Spanish, the French, and the English do things a little bit differently, but there is some connectivity to them, and I will try to point that out to make it easier for you to retain. The first one is going to be Spain. So write Spain. So all colonies are subservient to the mother country. The first country we're going to look at is Spain. They're also the largest, which is why most people in the New World speak Spanish. There you go. Oh, that was beautiful, guys. That was a really lovely time. use viceroys. They are appointed directly by the king. In the English, who is appointed to run the colonies directly by the king? Governors. Yes, we've all seen Pirates of the Caribbean at this point. Hello, governor.
The Spanish is what?
Viceroys. Okay, so the Spanish use viceroys, the British use. I don't need you to write down the British stuff. I'll cover the British stuff, but I'm trying to make connections to make it easier for you to retain. You need to know that they are going to set up bureaucracies in urban areas. They're going to take where the Aztecs lived and turn that into Mexico City, which is the center of their bureaucracy. The Spanish aren't idiots. They're not going to build a city in the middle of nowhere when there's cities that already exist and they're going to take over. Okay? So, when we talk about colonial administration, especially for the Spanish, they use missionaries, ladies and gentlemen. Missionaries are a huge part of the Spanish course. There are two major reasons for that. One, Protestant Reformation. Write it down. Do you see how transformative that Protestant Reformation is? And we just blew through it. Can't believe it. Cringe. Here we go. So the Protestant Reformation is going to cause half of Catholics to leave the faith. What faith are Spanish people? They're Catholic. So because of the Protestant Reformation, half the church has left. So the Spanish find it their need to force all these people to be Catholic to bump up their numbers. Yes. So the Spanish are going to start using missionaries to do forced conversions to increase the number of Catholics. Yeah.
Like
Good
to
look or bad
natives?
look? It's a pretty bad look. Jesus wouldn't like that, would he? Now, Andreas, what?
To the natives, that's who they're
Yeah, they're force converting the natives in order to increase their numbers. Now, I do want to put a caveat there. There are few missionaries who actually do believe in the Word of God and who actually come to the aid of the indigenous and actually give a shit about the quality of life of these people. And a perfect example is Bartholomew Diaz Las Casas, and who we're going to talk about here in a little bit. He is a missionary. He comes from Spain to come over here to convert these people to be Catholics, and he actually gives a shit about them and leads rebellions against the Spanish because of the terrible treatment. You'll see it here in a few minutes. With that being said, do you think that's the majority or the minority? There you go. Okay. The largest group of people are the Jesuits who come over. The Jesuits were created after what seismic event in 1517 that divided Europe? Protestant Reformation. So the Jesuits are created in the Catholic Counter-Reformation. They believe in missionary work and academics. They come over here to the United States and start converting people like crazy to be Catholic so they can increase their Catholic numbers. They do set up missions. Now keep in mind, missions are very much transactional. You can eat their food, drink, and medicine as long as you convert to the religion they're preaching. Today in 2022, it's still pretty similar to these types of methods. So they're going to show up and they're going to offer food, shelter, protection, all of these things under the exchange of religion. Okay? Now, it is important for you to know that it works. Where is the largest Catholic population in the world in 2022?
Latin America.
Latin America all day. What is the largest sect of Christianity? Catholicism. It became one of the smallest and grew in popularity. Popularity-ish. It is now the most largest sect of Christianity. Okay. You need to know the encomienda system. Put a star and a box around it. It is a non-negotiable. You cannot go forward without knowing this term. The encomienda system. Write this down. I'm letting you write down the name because this is how important it is a coerced labor system. What is a coerced labor system? Roth.
It's like they'll give you shelter and food if you work.
Yes. Okay. It is not. It's not slavery. Slavery is I own you, Roth, and I can force you to do anything I absolutely want. In a coerced labor structure, it is not ideal. Let's be clear. This is not a wonderful system that we in 2022 would employ, but there is a bit of an exchange. Yes? It's very much like feudalism, but like a lot darker and way more racist. Like super racist. Because in feudalism, it's all white people. Because it's in Europe in the 1200s. This is entirely, and you're going to write this really big, is entirely based on race. Okay. Now, underneath it, so the encomienda system, you need to know it's a coerced labor system. You need to know it's entirely based on race. Underneath it, you need to put a star. The Spanish colonies are for profit making only. Write that down. So, if you are in a Spanish colony and you're a white dude, you're there to make
Money.
So, if you're going on a business trip, so your parents, your mom, your dad go on a business trip, do they take you with them?
No.
Because they're going on a?
Business.
It's work. They're doing work. So these white Spanish men who are going to work, you think they're bringing their wives? No, they're not bringing their wives. Now, they're going to the colonies for years at a time. Do you think they are sitting at home, reading their Bibles, and thinking about their beautiful wives and children at home, reading their good book, and then crawling into bed alone, drifting off into dreamland? Hell no! Hell no! Hell no! These men are leaving the wives, the kids at home. They come to the new land and they say, "Hola, ladies," and they are mixing with the locals. Write it down. These Spanish are mixing with the locals and making lots of interracial babies. Why are they making lots of interracial babies? I told you the answer, but I have to hit it home. Why are they making lots of interracial babies? They left their wife and kids at home, and they're not going to sit around and twiddle their thumbs when a really beautiful native girl just walked by. So they're going to start mixing. And that is what the foundation of the encomienda system is all about. Because you need to draw, I don't need you to draw the triangle, but I need you to write down the layers. You need to just kind of memorize it. The faster you just memorize it, the better your quality of life is. Okay. The encomienda system is a system that is entirely based on race. Because the Spanish are mixing, because they don't bring their wives, because they're here to make money, but they're not going to sit at home and be lonely either. They're just going to make another family over here. And then all of a sudden, we got whoopsie babies walking around. With that being said, we have to create a hierarchy because a Spanish man and a native woman making a baby does not mean that's a local, that's a native baby. It's a mixed. We have to have a hierarchy. And this is what the hierarchy is. A peninsular is at the very top. These are white people from Spain. Born in Spain. You need to know that. Next to peninsulars, I would write white people. White. They are white, white, white. And they are born in Spain. They come here, and they are at the top of the social structure. Then you have Creoles. Also write white, white, white. These are Spanish people who have a white mother and a white father that makes a white baby. Now, Creole, when we say Creole, we think mixing of races, yes? Hello? That is not what it is in the encomienda system. The Creole we think of is the French Creole. And the French Creole is when they call themselves mixed. Do we see the difference between the two? We're talking Spanish Creole, which means they are two white people who made a baby who was born in the Americas. So make sure you know it's two white people. How many white women are in Spanish colonial America? Very few, which is why it's not a huge thing, which is why they're on the top. There's very few. If you have a white woman as your wife in the Americas, you're incredibly wealthy and incredibly important. Because if you were a poor working man, where is your wife? In Spain. Okay? So, then you have the mestizos. The mestizos are natives in Spanish, so they're mixed blood. Okay? The mulattoes are African and Spanish. When we say African, this means Spanish men are having sex with slaves. There's no equal or accessible black people in the colonies unless they come via triangular trade. So they're pulling like a Thomas Jefferson, if you will. Okay? So, we have the mestizos, and then we have the mulattoes. And then below them, we have the American Indians and the slaves. Oh, I didn't click out slaves. Okay? So, if you are a white man and you slept with a native, your kid's in a better spot, but are they in a great spot? No, but it's still a better spot. And the reason they had to do that is because they didn't bring their... Yes, I have to hit that home because it's going to come up again. What do you got, Evan?
Did the Spanish bring slaves from Africa over to Latin America?
Yeah, of course. Who do you think's doing all the mining? They killed all the indigenous. Okay, hi. The encomienda system is a social structure and a labor system. Write that down. Put a big star next to it. It's a big deal. The encomienda system is both a labor system and a social structure. You need to know that the indigenous are dying like crazy because of diseases and like mining. So they have to start importing slaves to fill the required roles needed. So they start, remember when Columbus came, I think I told you yesterday, he killed the entire Taino population. Like no one on earth has the genetics of the Taino people. He literally killed an entire genetic culture off the face of the map. They did that with a bunch of other societies as well. They literally just killed everybody because of diseases, which is going to kill most of them because they have no protection against it. And they're just going to work them to death. Okay? So when the natives are dying, they have to replace them because, like, white people aren't going to do the work. They've got guns and shit. They're not doing it. So they're going to go and grab slaves from Africa and triangular trade, which I'm going to talk about as soon as I get there. Evan.
So were the American Indians like...
You need to write Cass's painting down. It's used to reinforce the encomienda system. I'll talk about it in a sec.
Were the American Indians like the few natives that...
Yeah, the few ones who didn't die from diseases when the disease went through the first time.
Okay.
Like some people just have natural immunity. Like some people, some of you may have someone in your house that everyone else had COVID and one of your siblings or dad or mom or something didn't get COVID. Even though everyone in the house had COVID, yeah? Some people just have a natural immunity to diseases for no other reason by luck or genetics or whatever it is. Same thing with the natives. Very few, but some.
What happens if someone from the Creoles had like a kid with a measles or
That would never happen. That would be just the wildest, craziest thing. Okay, casa painting. So, because the encomienda, I just added way more syllables to that. Encomienda system is a racial system. They have to qualify everyone. So how they do it is by the color of your skin. By the way, in AP Art, you learn about the Casas painting. So isn't this fun? Okay, so the Casas paintings are used to match the color of your skin to your position. So they would literally hold up the Casas painting to you and compare it. If you think this sounds barbaric, this is what the British did in their colonies. They thought this was a pretty good idea, especially in India and South America. And then Hitler was like, oh my God, these are brilliant. Not the qualities we'd
So
like
it
to share.
changes
Your skin color and your position. So by the way the paintings are done, this is how you could dress and what your skin color would look like. Okay. The reason why they're mixing is why. They didn't bring their... There you go. So they're not going to sit at home and read their Bible and go to sleep. English is your next subheading. Okay, the English. The English are starting their colonies primarily due to religious persecution. Write it down. The English are Starting colonies because of religious persecution. Who am I referring to? You all know this since like the kindergarten. Hello? We have their holiday coming up. Lucy. The Pilgrims, they're the first in Massachusetts Bay Colony. Okay, and then they're going to start settling, and then it becomes more profit than that. Okay, so the original colonies are coming here for freedom from religious persecution, post-Protestant Reformation. You see how Protestant Reformation is everything? Okay, they're going to come here. If they're fleeing because of religious persecution, are they bringing their wives or no wives? They're bringing their wives. They bring their wives because they're fleeing persecution. Okay? So, if they're bringing their wives, are they spending time with the natives? No. They do not mix with the natives. Why? Because they brought their wives. Okay? So, they do not mix with the natives. They force natives to sign contracts. Write it down. They force natives to sign contracts over land disputes. Why is that hilarious that they would force the natives to sign contracts? Think about it. It makes perfect sense. Why is it hilarious, Micah? It's the natives' land, of course, the fact that they just claimed it. But what is more infuriating about it, Emily? Yeah, they can't read. They have no concept of owning land because they just believe that God's provided the land for everyone and they don't own it. They use it, benefit from it, and it's provided to them. It's a gift. They don't own it. So the British show up saying, sign this. And they're like, okay. And they just like doodle. And then the British use it to justification. If you cross this line, which is an arbitrary line, we're going to kill you. Why do they have them sign the contract? Because they want to say, we signed a contract, they voided it, we killed them, it's not our fault. British. This is what the British do. If you're a native, would you rather be near the Spanish or the British?
Spanish.
There you go. Because British are literally trying to kill as many natives as they can, but still be Christian. That's why they sign contracts. Okay, French is your next heading. Okay. The French are here to capture fur. Oh shit, what are they called? Fur pelts. Fur pelts. Okay? Beaver is one of the most valuable. Does anyone know what beaver is the most valuable? What do you got, Rickard?
Like beaver fur hats, popular in Europe.
Well, yeah, but why?
Is it like fashionable?
Are you a slave to fashion, Rickard? Is this why you know this? No, they're actually, beaver hats become popular, but the beaver has always been popular. Why, Wade?
It's water resistant?
Yeah, it's waterproof. It's one of the very few furs that are actually genuinely waterproof, and people prefer it for their boots. What?
What was the word making?
Pelts. P-E-L-T-S. They're pelts. Now, do y'all think their wives are coming with them to go wandering through the woods to go kill animals and smell like death? No! No! There are no wives. So, are they mixing? Yes, but think about it. They're hunting. Do they know anything about this land? No, but if you marry a local, you'll get to know her dad, who does all the hunting. So,
Is that where Sacagawea comes in?
no.
No.
Okay? They are friendly relationship with the natives because they rely on the natives for access to the hunting grounds. So that is why right before the American Revolution we had the French and Indian War, where the French and Indians worked together against the British. Because if you are going to be colonized, which is not ideal by any society, who would you prefer to be colonized by?
The Indians.
The French.
Wait,
The
why
French. Because they actually genuinely care about these people and are not incredibly disruptive.
Are the French
So
also
what do
Catholic?
French people mean now?
Huh?
French
Mr.
people
Ren
also Catholic?
is giving.
Yes, they are.
I see that.
Wait, why are French people mean now?
Mr. Ren is doing a study
They have their own culture and they think it's better than everything else.
Yeah, but you think that yourself.
that didn't get graded.
One thing. Sorry.
Why don't you come see me tomorrow morning? Will you come to campus and Thursday?
Well, no, I went to him, but I dropped me off.
Why didn't you come look at it while you were sitting on campus this morning?
sorry. I don't know.
They're not all the same, but they are going to be.
Ms. Bennett,
Yes,
so,
sir.
I wanted to ask you if tomorrow is the focus due for vocab in class or
Yeah,
at 11:59?
in class. In class. It's always doing class.
Is there any way I can turn it in at 11:59?
Why? You had a week.
I'm kind of struggling with getting all that. I'll say it later.
No, you have clearly a game tonight.
Yeah.
It's on the pile. Is that for one or both?
Oh, crap, not so.
Yeah, how did you not see the pile?
I'm maybe blind.
Yes, you can grab your focus for next week. Don't grab these. This is copies. How's your cup? Are you devastated?
I am very devastated. I haven't even had a week
You know
yet.
who knocked this?
Jay.
Yeah. Say something politely to her. Okay, you did knock my cup.
Oh no, she realized.
Oh, okay.
She turned around